All right, so we have the outline all done. We've got the eyes and nose, important features where they belong, and we've started shading. And now it's time to shade even more and really define where these important attributes are, and then start erasing. So I'm going to come in here, I'm going to start looking at this eye a little bit more and see how I've got this grid right here. So I want to get this eye really the way I want it. I'm looking at the eye in my picture, and I am going to kind of draw that. I'm adding a little bit more value, getting a little bit darker here. All right, so there's some eyelashes happening in here, and there is the kind of a line that goes around the top of the eyelid that I'm going to try to get. Goes right here. So that makes me think that my eye needs to be a little bit sharper there. All right. There we go. And so now that I've gotten that eye there, and I'm going to do a little bit of eyelashes. I'm trying to just see where the eyelashes on my picture show up. I'm not going to just draw a bunch of eyelashes that don't belong there. I'm going to draw the ones that I see in there. And then I might go back and kind of fill those in a little bit depending on how that looks when I'm all done. And then I'm going to put the eye, features of the eye in here, put the pupil here. It's a little bit hard for me to see her pupil, so I'm going to just kind of draw it I can kind of see it looks kind of like it's right here. And then I'm going to put, there's a little bit of a highlight in her eye right there, and so I'm going to keep that right there, and I'm going to kind of expand it a little bit. So I'm going to draw right in here. I'm still not going super dark, but I'm going a little bit darker than I have been. And then I'm going to just kind of lightly do her eye that way. All right, so that looks pretty good. Okay, and since I've done that, I'm going to try to erase some of these grid lines here that are kind of in the way now that I've defined those areas. Okay. So this is where you see it's really important that you drew those grid lines nice and lightly so that you can come back in and erase them really easily without doing a whole lot of damage to what you've already drawn. So you might need to come back in and kind of fix some pieces of your drawing. Again, you might be super tempted to try to like fix some eyebrows or fix something. Don't do it. Just draw what you see. All right, and I will come back to this eye a little bit later. I feel like I've gotten a good a good amount of work done on it right now. I'm going to come back now. I'm going to come and look at this eye over here, and still think that nose maybe comes in a little bit more right here. Yeah, there we go. So this eye right here comes in like this. There's some eyelashes that are coming out right here. I'm just trying to draw what I see. All right, and so I noticed that my highlight is going to be here on the left part of her eye. Her right, my left, right? So I'm going to try to make sure that I have enough white space here to do the same thing on this side. And then again, it's hard to see where her pupil is, but I'm going to try to draw the pupil so that it matches somewhat the other eye. So that looks like a disaster, but it's okay. It's gonna come out just fine. There's a lot going on in this eye that it's a little bit hard to see on the picture right here. So it looks like it comes in here, it gets pretty dark. Eyelid and everything in here. So I might work on this a little bit and then I might come back to it because I don't want to spend too much time on one part right now for the video. So there we have a bit of the disaster going on here, but it's going to come out okay. And I've got my pupil right there. I need to do a little bit more erasing to make that whiter where the highlight is going to be. Alright, making okay progress right here. Now this grid line, I don't even need to erase in here because it's pretty light, so I'm going to just erase up here. And then I'm going to erase it along here. My eraser's not very clean. There you go. There we go, that's better. Come down this direction. Alright, I'm going to erase my some grid lines. I'm going to look down at the nose area here. And so this nostril here kind of goes right into this grid line. And I drew this nostril a little bit too long. I'm going to pull that back a little bit. Pull this back a little bit. There we go. That looks better. Right about here is where these meet, right about right there. It goes up in here like that. A lot of times there's a little bit of a shadow right here in the nose, around behind the nostril. Sometimes you can see it, and sometimes you can't totally see it. Sometimes I'll add it just a little bit anyways if I can't totally see it, because that helps define the nose. But I can see it a bit on this picture here, so here it is. There's a little bit more shading right up here. I'm going to do. Now I'm going to look over here on this part of the nose, and I'm going to take this grid line out and that dot that I used for the grid out, and I'm going to see if I can get this nose nailed down a little bit better. Pull that around like that. And this nostrils comes right up in here. Comes underneath. Here's this nostril again. I'm going to darken that a little bit more. Then I'm going to shade bottom of the nose. A bit going on right in here. Feels like this nostril is a little bit high, but it might just be that this one got too low. But I'm going to keep going. I think I might be able to fix it. Or keep going. So now you can see I'm getting a little bit darker with my shading. I'm going to keep doing that. I'm going to do this kind of fast, so like it's not going to be super perfect drawing, but I want you to see the steps. Again, I'm going to shade in this area here. And I'm going to start, I'm going to take out some more of these grid lines here. Part where I shaded. And there's some hair in here that I'm going to start defining. Alright, coming along here. Let's do a little bit more shading for this video, and then we'll, yeah, there we go. So I'm going to start defining this chin area here. Come in a little bit darker. I'm looking at my picture, and I'm looking at my drawing, and I'm looking back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. All right, let's look at the mouth a little bit. And here we go, mouth. Start really defining the lips. Where a tooth kind of comes down right there. Lip does this. Right. So that upper lip looks pretty good. It's a little bit darker here than it is in the some of the other areas. So I'm going to let that be darker. And it's definitely a little bit darker down here. I'm going to come back in later and really define this area. But for right now, I'm just doing the next step. So now I can erase these grid lines around here. Hopefully. Erase this one. All right, I'm gonna do this bottom lip, and I think that'll be it for this video here. So let's get down this way a bit. There we go. Yeah, kind of does a little bit of a bulge here. Not really a bulge, but it kind of comes up a little bit in that area, then comes back down. And then we've got this part of the lip comes down here. Yeah, there we go. A bit more shading there. Then I'm going to erase that grid line. There we go. All right, so that is a good next step. Started really defining the eyes, the eyebrows a little bit more, defining the nose a little bit more, and the mouth a little bit more, getting a little more shading, getting things darker. And then the next step is going to be just doing that same thing over again. We'll do that maybe 2-3 more times, and then really defining everything even a little bit darker, and then all the way dark, and then we're all done.